Hey guys, so welcome to how to make a patchwork hoodie. We're going to be making it from start to finish. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go over the materials that you guys are going to need, right? So what you guys are going to need is going to be a sewing machine, needle, thread, fabric scissors, base hoodie, which is going to be the hoodie that you guys start creating from, right? Or rather, like, this is like the hoodie that you guys are going to actually like use, and then patch fabric. So whatever fabric you're going to use, that's going to be on the actual hoodie, you know. And then some optional stuff is stuff that I didn't use when I first started out, so that's why I say that it's optional. Once you guys are like really trying to, make this a living, and you guys want to be very, very symmetrical, then you guys are going to need the optional stuff. But for right now, optional is going to be measuring tape and pins. It took me 6 months to start using pins because I hated them, didn't know how to use them. So I kind of got good at like spatial measuring. I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. That looks like it's the same. I feel like that's like where it needs to be. You know what I mean? Cool. Great. Got it. All right. So let's kind of get into um, what you guys are going to need as a like the step-by-step process, right? What we're going to be covering. So let's go into that. All right, guys. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about the steps that we're going to take in this video. I just kind of I want you guys to know that what the roadmap is going to be in the video, right? Cool. So number one, we're going to deconstruct our base hoodie, right? We're ripping out the seams. If you guys would like to, you guys can take apart the waistband, um, the potato sack waistband. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video. And I'm going to actually leave it like that because that's what I do on my hoodies. But on the other hoodie that we make, I'll leave it on to show you guys how to do that. But we're going to be doing this now, right? After we deconstruct, then we're going to design the hoodie, right? There's going to be 4 ways that we're going to be designing and learning all the patchwork hoodies and then the patchwork pants that we're going to be making in this module, Patchwork 1. Today, the way that I'm going to design is we're not going to be drawing, we're not going to be designing anything beforehand. We are literally just going to design while we're cutting, right? So I call that active designing. All right, so after that, once we finish designing it in our head, whatever the case may be, we're going to then cut the patches that we need, right? Um, After we cut the patches, we're going to prep our sewing machine, make sure that we have all of our materials. So it's like a very, very easy streamline of when we're sewing the actual garment. We don't like, oh, I ran out of bobbin thread or whatever, like whatever happens, you know what I mean? Um, and then we're gonna start sewing. You guys should already know how to make a stitch, pivot, make a seam. So all of those skills that you guys learned in Into the Seams module, we're going to now put that into practice in this patchwork module, making some clothes from scratch, right? I'm sorry, making some patchwork pieces. That's in another thing. um, So after we sew, we're going to be doing undercuts today. Um, and that's what we're going to be doing for this patchwork. You guys already know how to do undercuts because you saw it in the module subsequent to us making some clothes. So we're going to utilize that skill, right? So we're going to cut. And after we cut, we construct. So we need to say that in the beginning we deconstructed, and now at the end we're now going to construct the garment back up again. And then after that, the last step which is number 8, optional if you'd like to, is admire your work. Because we're gonna do it. We're doing it today, right now, right? Cool. So, quick overview: deconstruct, design, cut, prep, sew, cut, construct, and then admire. Let's get into it. All right, cool guys. So step 1 is going to be deconstructing the hoodie. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Um, I actually missed the fact that you need a seam ripper as well. So I don't use a seam ripper anymore. I use an actual blade because I think that it's just faster. Now, I did use a seam ripper for 11 months in my sewing journey, but my mom is a tailor, and she was like, "This is so much faster," and I didn't believe her, and then she left, and then I started believing her because I tried it when she wasn't there. All right, cool. So now that we have deconstruct the hoodie, we're going to now start designing. This is the uh, fabric that we're going to use as the patches. Um, so with that being said, we're going to now start designing the hoodie. Um, First, what I like to do is look around the hoodie and see of any ailments. Is there any stains that we need to cover? Is there any is there anything that we need to cover to be able to make the hoodie look aesthetically presentable when it comes to stains, holes that we don't want to have here? Is because obviously you guys know that we are not just buying a freshly made hoodie at Nike and doing this. I highly urge to go to the thrift store or really and truly just go into your closet and get a hoodie that already fits you really nice. Or specifically, maybe for this one, doesn't fit you really nice, but this is going to be the first piece that you make if you're going to be making this hoodie with me and other than like the pants. So I always say get something that fits you so you can wear your first piece ever. Because trust me, you're going to be very, very grateful at the fact that you made something that fits you. Because once you're starting to make more intricate, amazing things, I can tell you this for a strong fact that you're going to wear that thing with so much pride, and in tandem with the more high complex garments that you create later down the road. So that's just me. So if it's whether it be the hoodie or the pants, make something that's in your size that you can fit because you're going to be wearing that because you're going to then be a walking billboard, right? Make sense? Cool. So first, let's check for any ailment on the hoodie. Okay. So right now I'm gonna turn the lights on because we're being all like, what have you. Got it. All right, cool. So we're checking to see if any stains. So we have a stain here, right? Um, Me myself, there's a stain on the hoodie, like the actual hood part, and I'm just gonna dye this black. So that's just like how to combat stains without having to like change your patchwork. I'm just going to dye this black. But for the sake, I'm just going to act like we're not going to dye it black. There is also to a stain back here. So this is going to like kind of like affect the way that we make a piece. Ooh, I have an amazing design that just came to my head. The reason why I love creating, as I said, without designing and like drawing or anything, is because things come to your head whilst you're holding the fabric, you're feeling it. And you know, I don't know, for some reason I always say that like the fabric just speaks to me. That's how I design. And the fabric spoke, and we're about to do such a crazy cool first piece that I think that will translate not only for myself because I would wear it, but I would think that multiple age groups would have no problem wearing something like this stuff. So I feel as though that all age groups are going to be able to use this and wear this. All right, cool. So with that being said, as we can see here, we have this little ailment right here, and this is no bueno. So with that being said, the way I'm going to start doing this is like start creating, is starting from the stain and going around that, because now that we have a stain, you can't just like create the way that you want it to. It's because like you need to answer to this. You know what I mean? Cool. So I'm actually going to cut my fabric, which is another sweatshirt, right? I'm gonna cut this up so I can start using the patches onto it. I'm not going to worry about seam ripping anything, is because this is not what we're going to be using for our like actual hoodie, and it doesn't matter if you seam rip this or not. If you want to seam rip it for extra practice, you can, but you're going to be getting plenty of practice in the future. I can tell you that for a strong fact. All right, cut the waistband. We keep the waistband. I always do. All right, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut it like so. I'm going to be saving the arms. And I'm going to be cutting the whole entire back panel apart. Actually, other than the neck. So we're going to cut the back panel apart. Cut it almost at the seams. All right, cool. So I'm going to be working on the back panel first, right? And what I'm thinking, so I was thinking of having a long horizontal patch going straight up the back. And as you can see, the way that this back panel is, this like the patch that I cut, does this go down anymore? There it is. The way that I cut like this back panel, it's too short. It doesn't go all the way. So what I'm gonna do is do this. Right? And now we have it all the way up, where I would like it to be, right? Okay, cool. Now we have it where we want it, and this is the time that you can literally, I'm not gonna use a measuring tape, and I'm not going to use pins, because I'm just gonna do exactly what you guys do. I want to use pins. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna eyeball it. All right, I'm just gonna eyeball it, and hopefully we cut it straight. So this is like how I used to design. This is how I used to make clothes. So I'm looking at that stain. This is gonna be an undercut, so I'm going to put it right here. And then the way that I cut straight is that I usually look there, like at the end of it. I do my initial cut, and I'm always looking like a little bit ahead. I'm never looking at the actual scissors. That's just me, right? So let's go ahead, right? All right, cool. I feel like that's straight enough, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. It's our first piece. Let's have fun. Cool. So a way to be able to do it the same, if you didn't cut it straight and you're like, oh, I need it to be the same on the other side, halfsies, flip it like this, right? And then pat it down a little bit, right? And now we cut it like that. I'm not going to use the rotary cutters, is because I don't think that you guys need this right now. If you guys have some money for it, go ahead and buy it. But I didn't start using this after 12 months of me making clothes. So I always like going the hardest way, is because once you learn the harder way and you get these tips and tricks, I don't know, I just think that it's a lot easier, because this is not a race. This is not like a sprint. This is a marathon with making clothes. Yeah? Got it. All right, cool. Now let's cut this right along the side. So now we have symmetrical sides for our long patch that goes all the way up on the back. And these are small. This is a small hoodie, so I won't be able to wear it. All right, cool. So now that we have that cut out, we're just going to make sure that these ends are the same, yeah? So we cut it like this. And I can see here that this is a little different. So let's just cut this the exact same as it is. Do a little of this. All right, cool. Now, throw that on the side. And then let's go to the top here. And then cut it like so. All right, cool. Now we have this amazing patch in the back. Oh, I'm so excited for these. Oh, I'm so excited. Cool. All right. So we have this patch in the back. Really, really exciting. Really, really fun, right? So this, we're not going to pin it. I'm actually excited to not pin anything because that's how I used to make clothes so fast because I didn't pin. So this is our back patch. We're going to keep it just like this, and we're going to now put this on the waist side because now we have our back panel created. Now, for our sleeve, I think let's just do the exact same thing. Let's do a nice square piece going from the top kind of a little bit to the bottom, right? And all of them are going to be vertical, right? That's what's going to create some sort of level of harmony, symmetry, and we're going to be utilizing the line. I'm pretty sure it's a principle. Don't quote me though, right? So great. So I have my patch here. I have one of the other patches that I used to cut here. So now we're going to use this as a guide. I actually like the fact that it has these like strong points at the end. But the reason why I'm not going to keep the strong points is because I want it to be symmetrical to all of the other patches. So I don't want to have some triangles, and I don't want to have some just squares. I want it to be all squares, right? Cool. So let's use the front panel now. Let's cut this out real quick so you can use that as a patch. Gonna be very, very simple hoodie. All right, we're cutting out that front panel because we need another square patch for our sleeve. All right, so we just made the back panel, and now we're gonna make a sleeve panel. All right, cool. So the way that we do this is that actually first, the way that I'm gonna do this. All right, cool. So I wanna make this as a square. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to do this. So I can cut both of them at the same time. And then I just sandwiched it, all right? And then now I'm going to create a straight line, throw this out, and now check to see the spacing. This is actually a perfect spacing. I love it just like this. But I want it to be just a little bit skinnier. I don't like how big it is, right? So I'm not gonna sandwich it. I'm actually just going to cut it right up how it is. And again, I'm going to look at the scissors like this when I make my initial cut. But for me to cut straight without using a rotary cutter or anything of that nature, I look a little bit ahead, all right? All right, cool. All right, cool. Great. So I like it like that, right? This is cool. I like this. Just like this. Oh, I can't get it out of my mind now. Oh, man. I want to do something for the front panel, but I don't want to take the pocket off. I don't even think that I will be able to do it. Okay, we'll just see. Because I'm coming up with designs as I'm making this, right? I'm just doing the front, the side to arm panels right now for patching, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for the front and how the front is going to translate. And I have this amazing idea, and I think that I'm going to do it, and it's going to be annoying, but that's what it is. You have to do it. All right, cool. So now that I like the size of this, I'm just going to create as you go. So now that I like it how it is, I'm going to create another thing of it. All right, cool. So I'm gonna flatten this down a little bit, right? All right, cool. Let's do it. Now, when I'm using a rotary cutter, I'll cut it in a way where I'll produce the least amount of waste. The great thing about this is that I'm going to be using all of the scraps of this cotton that I'm using right now for a patchwork from scratch hoodie that we're going to make in the school community. So I'm very, very excited about that one. So now I'm cutting this same for same. All right, cool. And now we're gonna cut. Ooh. All right. All right, cool. So now we have the sleeve panels. Amazing. So fun. This is so nostalgic right now. Because this is exactly how I used to create when I first started making clothes. No pins, no measuring tape, no nothing. All right, now we're gonna do the front panel, right? Let's just see if we're still rolling. All right, now we're going to be difficult, and we're going to rip up the hood. I'm sorry, the pocket, because we're going to do that horizontal patch, that vertical patch that I did in the back. We're gonna do the same in the front. Oh, I've never thought about this ever in my life. I'm like looking at you guys, and I need to look over here. But I've never thought about this. Like I never thought. This is why I love designing from scratch and putting yourself in different situations. Like I'm not using any pins. I'm not using the rotary cutter. It's exactly how I used to make clothes back in the day. And I've never done this design ever before. And I'm glad that you guys are going to be able to do this with me, because I'm doing it fresh and new with you guys, right? So let's go ahead and start deconstructing this. Be very careful. All right, cool. All right, now let's go ahead and cut this. We're being very, very careful. Very, very careful. All right, cool. Taking this hood pocket apart just so that we can put a patch in there. Cool. Got it. Now So as you guys see that I'm doing it on my table, if you guys can do it on the floor and design on the floor, that's how I initially started, or on my bed. That's how I initially started designing and like cutting out my patches and stuff. I'm just doing it here is because like I have a dog now and I don't want to put my products on the floor because like no. I used to have cats and they for some reason shedded way less than my dog. So that's what that is. All right, cool. So now let's do this patch going up the middle, right? We should have some extra fabric. This, perfect. All right, cool. Because I was like, oh, I do not want to use the sleeve fabric right now. Perfect. All right. So I kind of want it to be the same thickness as it is on the back. So the way that we do that is we get the back panel. We get the back panel piece. And we're almost perfect. So let's do this. All right. And then let's do it on the other side. Cutting very, very short. I mean, right now I would use this as a rotary cutter. Like what I'm doing right now, I'll be using a rotary cutter for that because it's so like close to the actual piece that I'm making. And then now let's cut it sideways. All right, let's take this out. Too small, can't use them. Cool. All right, that's a back panel. And then this is our front. Now, funny thing, I want the front to be just a little bit shorter and a lot smaller. You know what I mean? A lot smaller. A lot smaller. So let's do this. Let's cut this on the bottom. Let's say probably like 4 inches. And then put that down like this. Ooh, this is actually not the way that I want it to be. So I'm actually gonna put it up a little bit higher like this. Cool. And then now I'm gonna cut it just a little bit skinnier. All right, cool. So now very, very easy piece, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 patches, all squares. But the reason why it's going to look so good is because of the contrast, right? And the color theory. That's what we've talked about in design 1, right? Contrast, color theory. That's one of my favorite elements. I'm pretty sure it's on elements is contrast. So that's what allows like you can make a very non-technically crazy piece, but if your color theory and the elements and principles of designs are all in harmony, your piece can transcend in any market, anywhere, anytime, right? Cool. So now that we have all of our patches cut up, now we just need to start prepping, right? So prepping is making sure that you have all of your bobbins correct, together, making sure that you absolutely have everything that you need to have like your top thread, the whole entire 9 yards, right? I can't show you guys how I prep is because the way that you prep with your sewing machine and the fabric that you're using right now is going to be completely different. So just prep, make sure that you have absolutely everything. your fabric and thread scissors to cut the thread if you don't have an automatic cutter on your sewing machine, and all that fun stuff. All right, cool. So with that being said, we're not pinning, and we're gonna start sewing now. Let's go. What's going on, guys? All right, so now we're going to be on step 5, which is going to be sewing, right? We're going to be doing undercuts, right? So you guys already know how to do undercuts because I taught you in a subsequent lesson, and now we're going to actually put it into practice. So we're going to be doing the back panel first, right? Where is my patch? Got it. Cool. All right. So as you can see, that stain that I was talking about, and the reason why we like did the first patch the way that we did is because we're going to be covering the stain, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put the patch, right? We're going to put the patch on the right side facing the wrong side, right? So the inside, right? So this is the right side of the actual hoodie, and we're going to put it on the inside, right? But it's going to be right side of the patch, right? On the wrong side, or rather the inside of the actual hoodie. Yeah? Got it. Cool. All right. So the way that I like doing it without using any pins is that I will put the bottom, or wherever I'm starting my patch, I'll do this so you guys can see. I'll put on the bottom, or wherever I'm like starting my patch, I'll put that in the right place, and then as I sew, I'll like straighten it out, right? Does that make sense? Cool. Hopefully it makes sense. So I want to put this in the middle. So we're going to, because I have a what's it called, right? I have a tape measure, but as I showed you guys, or rather I told you guys that we're not going to be using a tape measure. I'm going to be doing it exactly how you guys are going to be doing it. And other patchwork one-on-ones, I'm going to be showing you guys like, okay, now we're going to start pinning, and then we're going to be using a measure, and then we're going to design a different way. Like I'm going to design on the whiteboard, and I'm going to design on Procreate, and I'm going to design with like pen and paper, but I don't do any of those. Just to let you know, like the way that we're designing right now is the way that I design. So cool. So I'm putting in the middle, right? And then I'm actually, you guys are going to see what I do, but I'm putting in the middle, and then since this is already straight, everything else should just be straight, right? Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So I'm going to start on one side. And then you guys already know how to do this because I already taught you guys how to do this, right? And into the seams, how to make a secure stitch, right? 3 stitches forward, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 stitches back, 1, 2, 3. And then now you start sewing. I'm gonna go slow with you guys in the beginning, but then I'm gonna start like, you know, it's helpful at times. Yeah, I really don't use Procreate, like literally at all. Like I do not design my pieces at all. I will design when I'm actually cutting the patches for the piece, is because the fabric tells me what to do, and the garment, like the silhouette and the garment, tells me what to do. That's just the only time that I've designed, and the only time that I do design is for fashion shows. That's it. So that's life. Ready? Cool. So we're going really, really slow. Now, as you guys know, the way that I am sewing straight right now is that I'm not looking at the needle, right? Let me go ahead and turn this onto its side, right? I'm not looking at the needle, right? I'm looking at the side. So when I'm looking at the side, that's how I'm sewing straight, right? I'm making sure that I stay in line with the edge of the fabric, right? And that's just how like I'm sewing straight.
right? Cool. So that's your guys' like how to sew straight. So we're gonna like, we're now just going to start like moving and grooving. Okay, cool. So we're going, and now you guys are probably watching this video in 2x speed or 1.5x speed or at the same speed or what have you. But now I'm gonna start just sewing fast, right? Because I want to get this done. So I'm gonna put it up, and like I say, only go fast when you start getting confident, but you're gonna mess up. So like, just get excited of messing up. Right, this whole entire time I'm looking at the side. I'm looking at the side to make sure that I'm sewing a straight line, and I start slowing down. And then you guys already learned how to pivot into the seams, so we're just gonna start pivoting. And then we're gonna go across. And then I think I wanna go one more, so I'm gonna use my hand crank, right? And then I'm gonna pivot. And then I'm gonna go down. All right, so now we're gonna do another line, and I call this the secure line, right? I always do a secure line for every of my patches, just to, one, for it to be higher quality and to have a higher longevity. I don't want to just sew one line, because in the event that, you know, a thread gets caught on something, then the whole entire like patch is like falling out. So I do 2 lines, right? One and then another, right? Cool. You ready? Let's do it. Same start, and we're gonna go. So like, now you're probably asking, what am I using as a guideline? I'm using the sew line that I just did, right? I'm looking at this right here. All right, let me show. I'm looking at this one right here, right? And I'm making sure that I'm at the same spacing, right? I'm making sure that the edge of my pressure foot is on this line as I'm sewing, so it can, you know what I mean, be straight, you know. All right, let's go. Cool. All right, now we pivot, and we do it one more time. Go it in. All right, now we pivot one more time. All right, cool. So we're at the end. Okay, great. So, as you can see, once we cut out our patch, that stain is going to be no more. And you can see how we did the straight line, and you're like saying like, oh, Jiko, you can only do a straight line because you've been doing it for this long. Shut your mouth. I just did the right thing, which you're going to do, right? All right, guys. So now we're doing the front patch, right? Using that hem anymore. it's going to be actually in, but I took apart the pocket, obviously, and the patch, the way that we start the patch is going to be hidden by the pocket. So that's just kind of like what it is, right? So let's go ahead and start patching our front. All right, cool. So I'm going to start right here. This looks center to me. As I told you guys, we're not using pins. I'm going to be exactly like what you guys are doing right now. So I just went down on my hand crank, and I'm going to do front, back, and then we're going to start. Yeah, this looks kind of center. It's not really center, but who's counting? This down. Getting slower at the end. Cool. All right, we're about to finish. And then, guys, since the hood is going to be covering this, I'm just going to pivot like this and not do two separate lines. And then now, so again, like I'm not gonna cut my fabric and then do another line or what have you. I'm just gonna pivot, and then I'm just gonna now start sewing that second line, which I call a secure line for patches. All right, cool. Keep on going. Let's keep on going. We're almost done. All right. And then we just secured it up. So we just did the front, back to actually like secure the stitch or what have you. And then I have an automatic cutter, so you guys pull it out, what have you. You guys will be able to see that like tutorial of how to, you know, cut your thread with your sewing machine on YouTube. I unfortunately cannot make sewing machine tutorials. It's because I don't have your guys' sewing machine. But kind of like a great thing is that I only have a straight stitch machine. You guys are probably most likely going to have both a straight stitch and a zigzag machine. So you guys are a little bit more advanced, you know. I'm just doing it straight. All right, cool. So now we have that front patch on. Now we're just going to do the two arm patches, and then we're going to go to step 6, which is going to be cutting. And literally we're about to be done. It's very it's like you're like when you're about to start like making clothes, or you're thinking about making clothes, it's such a daunting task. You're so scared to start the whole entire 9 yards. But as you guys can see here, I'm right with you guys, and I'm not using any pins. We did not use a measuring tape. Like, we don't have a rotary cutter. Like, we didn't use a cutting board. you know, so like we got this, you know, we got this. All right, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I'm putting this in the middle, right? So I'm making sure that the middle of the patch, I'm putting it in the middle of this little arm seam, right? This shoulder seam right here, right? So I'm putting this like this, and then we're going to start right here, and then I'm going to do use my hand crank, and I'm gonna put it down. All right, I'm gonna do 3 stitches forward, 3 stitches back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna start sewing. Right? You guys already know that you guys do not look at your needle. You use something else as a guide, which is going to be the end of your pressure foot, and then you guys go at the speed that's most comfortable for you. I'm gonna go fast because I just want to make this. I just want to get this done. You know. All right, cool. So now we get into the next side. That's a little close, but life. All right, cool. See, we're just pivoting. We're moving a little bit faster, right? Because it's getting at 728. So really, what I'm going to do now, guys, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to make 2 lines. I'm just going to pivot. I'm going to do 2 stitches. 1, 2, right? And I'm going to go down. Disclaimer. Right now, I'm doing a 2.5 millimeter length for each stitch. Yeah? So that's what we're doing right now. Ready, set, go. Oops. All right, cool. All right. Back, forward, cut. All right, 1 arm panel done. Right, we're almost done. The last patch. Okay, so the way that we get it the same sizing, I mean the same spacing, is that like what I would do is that, so this is actually not as straight as I'd like it to be, but that's fine. Right, what I'll do is just use my finger. Okay, great. I'm like about like a half knuckle, so full top finger, and then like maybe like a half knuckle. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna go on my other side. Go here. Ugh. Right, boom, bang, got it, cool. And then I'm pretty sure it was this. Yeah. So I'm going to now measure it the same, right? I'm going to put my finger down, and then I remember that it was a full, like, nail bed finger, which is this, and then a half a knuckle of this, or a half of whatever this is called. So I did this, and I'm just gonna put that a little up, and then I make sure that it's in the center. Great. So relatively, it's going to be in the same place. We're not using, this is our first piece ever. So like, we're not using any pins. We're not using any measuring tape. We're just having fun, right? Front, back. And then we're going to go. Ready, set, and go. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. Okay, we're almost done. I'm getting excited, so I'm moving faster. All right, cool. I just did a double stitch there, and then 1, 2. All right, we're gonna do the last. All right, go. All right. Ooh. Okay, we're at 11. Got it. Ooh. I could tell. So what I just did was that I did this, and hopefully you guys can see it potentially. This is not the right spacing, right? And I don't want it to be off and then me try to correct it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, go on my hand crank, and it could be potentially a full 1, which it most likely is. And then I go back, and then perfect. It's the perfect size. And I could tell because I'm judging my spacing. I'm judging my spacing based on the end of my pressure foot and where it usually was when I was sewing these lines, right? So if I'm at the end and I'm about to pivot and it's not there, then I know that I need to like do one more stitch, or, you know, just move my sewing machine. Move it, just the fabric just a little bit forward, so it could be at the right spacing. Okay, so this is too close. I can tell this already. So I'm just gonna go back once. And then now, turn like that. It's a little off, but it's a small correction. It's not gonna be anything too crazy. Do one more. And then go back, and then go forward. Cool. And that, my friends, concludes the sewing the patches part. Let's go to cutting. All right, cool. So now that we have deconstruct, we've designed, we've cut, we've prepped, We've sewn. Now we're gonna cut again. And then we're gonna construct the hoodie back up together. So right now, since we did undercuts, this is when the design of the hoodie starts coming to life, right? You start cutting the patches, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the contrasting fabric, and it start looking like really, really good. So you'll start seeing your work show itself out in this sixth step, which is cutting. So let's get into it. All right, cool. Let's get into the cuts. So what I'm doing is that I am putting my scissors like kind of all the way close to the stitch, right? And then I'm not doing a full like cut like this. I'm doing this. I'm not closing it all the way, right? I'm not closing. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this, right? So I'm doing this. And now I'm about to get to that end. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to cut all the way down, right? And I want to cut all the way down so it's the same size, the same spacing as it was like when I'm cutting it on the side, right? So I'm looking for it. And I just looked at like, okay, so now I can see the fact that this is the same spacing. So when I cut it this way, right, as you guys can see, when I, like, this is the same spacing. You can see this at the end. When I cut it this way, it's going to be the same size, right? Cool. We're almost done. The design starts showing itself when you cut, and it's so amazing. It's such an amazing feeling. Undercuts are literally, honestly, one of my, like, if the, like, most favorite type of patchwork ever. All right, cool. So that patch is done. And then you guys are going to see when we start constructing the hoodie back up again, we're going to put that pocket right, like, oh, that looks so good. That looks so good. That looks so good. That looks so good. Look at that. That looks so good. I'm trying to do like a no holds back tutorial, because you know how like some tutorials, like, they show parts and pieces of stuff. So what I just did there was that I pinched the fabric together, right? To get in, when I'm not cutting at the hem, I pinched the fabric together, and then I do a pinch, lay it flat, put the bottom of my scissors in that hole, and start cutting. Do the same thing. Cool. All right. Perfect. All right. One more patch to cut. And then we're going to be on the construction side. So as you guys can see, I'm cutting a little hole because this has no entryway, right? I'm cutting a little hole because this has no entryway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pinch. Go like this. Okay, now I made a little hole, entry hole. I do a little snip, so I can put my full scissors in there and then do the same thing that I'm always doing, right? Not cutting all the way. Once I get to the end, I will, because I want to make sure that it's the right spacing and size. And then we keep on going. Right spacing and size. Go like this. Right spacing and size. Go like this. Right spacing and size. Go like this. Another right spacing and size. Done. Now we construct the hoodie back up again. We are at the last step. So we're probably gonna do the top line first. So that's the easiest. I'm gonna go on the existing, right? Put my thing down. Now sewing straight is so important with this right here is because you need to. So front, back, and then we're gonna keep on going, yeah? The thicker the fabric is, the longer the stitch length can be. Can be, not have to be, can. All right, cool, I'm gonna go. Yes, you need to dust off your sewing machine yesterday. All right, pivot a little bit. We're gonna be doing a square. The great thing about using patchwork and doing patchwork first is that you get to see how things are constructed. You get to deconstruct and reconstruct once you're done doing your patterns and your patchwork. All right, back, forth, back. Now, if you guys did not do a front patch, completely fine. You guys just skip over this part and just sew everything back up together again, yeah? All right, cool. We are literally almost done. So exciting. Front, back, sew. Pivot. 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 Done. Cool. So the front pack is back on, and this is how the front looks. So cool. So cool. I love it. I love the front. I love the way that front looks. Cool. All right, we're gonna start by the bottom hem, because we want to make sure that if we do sew something wrong, at least the bottom hem are neck and neck. Yeah. Now, I'm kind of upset the fact that this is an extra small hoodie because I would love to wear this today. I would love to wear this today because I love how simple the design is. I absolutely love it. And I'm even thinking about if this design was for some of my collection, like my pieces, my hoodies for my own brand, I think that I would love to come out with it, actually. So this is 1/4 of a seam allowance. Okay, cool, great. So now we're just sewing things back up by the seam. And now we're doing a guide of 1/4 because now I'm looking at the guide on my sewing machine for seam allowance. So now I'm not looking at the edge of my pressure foot anymore. I'm looking at the guide in the fabric. Is this 1/5? Cool. Hopefully you guys are getting immense amount of value right now. This is all making sense. Let's put this like that. And you guys see what I'm doing with the extra fabric of my hoodie? Like, you're always going to deal with this. Like, I have a table, so that makes it a little bit easier. But you're always going to deal with this. I'm guessing that a lot of the people that are going to be coming into this community are going to be getting just straight domestic machines with no table. And that is okay. That's what I started on. That's what I've made a lot of money on with my domestic machine. So don't think that you have to get my sewing machine, my $1,000 sewing machine, because you don't. Because that's not where I started. Don't do what I'm doing now. Do what I did when I started. And that's why we're doing what I did when I started, right? I'm designing the way that I did when I started. I'm making clothes the way that I did when I started. I'm not using any pins. I'm not using any measuring. I'm literally just eyeballing everything. I just feel as though that trains your eye for it to be a certain something. But at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to me. You can, measure and do anything and everything that you want to do, right? So cool. We're almost done here. Why is the chat gone? I don't know. I can see the chat. I should have pressed this, actually. Actually, I'm gonna press this. All right, cool. Just making sure that you guys are being able to see anything that you guys need. Do this number, make sure that this is good. A little bit awkward, but we tried something out. We're done.
All right, guys, that's it. We just deconstructed, we designed, we cut, we prepped, we sewed, we cut again, and then we just finished constructing. And now it's time for us to admire our work. So let's go ahead. I'm going to meet you on the. It's white on white, so um, I'll just show you here. All right, guys. So this is the patch, right? This is the front. We have the pocket here. I mean, this is the patch. This is the piece, and then we have the side, which is just straight. Did you guys see like the reason why we cut it up a little bit is because I want it to translate, and if it were like a big square patch, it wouldn't translate the way that we want it to. And then we have it over here. I added these on here, which you guys will be able to learn in Patchwork 2 and our community that is coming up in January. But you guys will be able to learn how to do this in Patchwork 2 and also to learn how to add a neckline. As you guys can see, I added a neckline into the hood. You'll be able to learn that in Patchwork 2. Um, and then this is the back, right? I absolutely am in love with this design. I'm in love with it. So simple, 4 patches. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. Um, so yeah, we're about to recap and yeah.
All right, guys. So we just literally finished your first ever patchwork piece, which is a hoodie. I'm really, really, really happy that hopefully you guys chose a piece that not only fits you, but fits you. The only reason why is because as soon as you make your first piece, your brand has officially started. Like officially, officially. Now you're gonna be able to walk out in real life, and people are gonna ask where you got that hoodie. I like that hoodie. Trust me, if you do the right colors, right? People are going to talk. People are going to say, "What hoodie is that?" Because I know, if I were to see that hoodie out in life with those 4 simple square patches, I'd be like, "I want that. I need that. I put that in a double hoodie, please." So with that being said, I'm very, 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 very proud of you guys from getting all the way to here. We're on week 4. As you guys know, week 5 is going to be all about marketing, the different ways of marketing, and we're going to put a module in there for like how to start editing your videos.
So just to recap, we did deconstruction, which we seam ripped the hoodie, right? I took off the waistband because I didn't want it on there. Because I just didn't want it on there. That's like what I'm doing for my hoodies right now. So I didn't want it on there. And then we designed. In this patchwork hoodie that we did, we designed from the hip. That's what I like to call it. You don't draw, you don't do anything. You literally just do it from the hip, which is like I just cut and I design. The fabric speaks to me. You guys could literally make it step by step with me. Do 1 square patch on the back, going all the way up to the back, closer to the shoulder blade, and then do 1 square patch, long rectangle patch, all the way up to the front, going closer to the breast area, and then 2 square skinny patches on the side of the sleeve, and then sew the hoodie back up again, right? And that's just like how what we did for our design. And then we cut. So we cut the patches. We didn't only cut, but we designed kind of at the same time with this type of thing. And then we prepped our machine. We made sure that we had enough bobbin thread. We made sure that we had enough thread to be able to finish our project. And then we sewed. Very, very simple. It's not like rocket science. And the reason why I say that is because once you learn how to do your first stitch, right? And then you learn how to do your first seam, you know how to make clothes. Everything else is measurement, right? Is different kind of techniques, and then you just being able to be patient, right? Cut. After we did it, we did undercuts, right? So we cut the actual patches out, and then we constructed the actual garment back up together again, which is sewing it back up to the seam. Um, we took apart the pocket, and then we put the pocket back on together. So that's another part of constructing the garment back up together. And then admire, right?
you should always do that in the intro. Always admire your work. Always like say like, okay, cool. I like the way that this translated. Maybe I should use this color or whatever the case may be. I say never go back. Never ever go back. Never go back. Right. So create a piece. If it's poop, put it on the shelf. Just put it on the shelf. It's one of the things that are in your portfolio for you to just have. Right. I don't go back and edit any of my pieces. If I am going to, I will cut up all the whole entire thing and make it use that material and make something new from scratch. Like construct a garment, which garment construction is going to be in our other school community, which is going to be NIS, and it's not going to be the version that we have now, but it's going to be the higher ticketed version. Just to let you guys know, but that's coming out in like probably the later of January, right? So deconstruct, design, cut, prep, sew, cut, construct, and admire. With that being said, guys, I'm really, really excited of what's to come. We just, as we're recording this, we're on TikTok Live. And TikTok Live has been really, really working for us, and that's going to be a subset, thing in our marketing piece. Like we're going to talk about TikTok Lives. We're going to talk about how to do TikTok properly because that's where I've gotten the most success on any of the platforms. And we're going to be talking about YouTube. If anybody that is in the community, anybody that's in our live right now that knows how to do Instagram and knows how to get results from Instagram, please hit me up. I would love to talk about making a module because I don't want to talk about something that I do not have I don't have a good, you know what I mean? I want to tell you guys what I know. I don't want to tell you guys what I think I know. You know what I mean? So with that being said, much love to you guys. So much love. And ciao. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.